Ariel Helwani in New York City for the UFC Reebok Fight Kit unveiling alongside UFC CEO Lorenzo Fertitta. And Lorenzo, thank you very much for the time. I hope you don't mind me saying this, but I think it's time we tell the world you're the biggest fan of the MMA beat there is, right? Every week you watch a show.
I do. I usually don't miss it. It's good to kind of pass the time when I'm doing a little cardio on the elliptical. So.
And you learn something too, right? From the experts.
Absolutely. No, it's actually, you guys are pretty insightful, pretty good at what you do. I enjoy the panel. You guys interact with each other very well. You don't always have the best information. You have good information, but not always the best information, but it's fun to watch.
Sometimes I imagine you saying, these idiots just don't know what they're talking. They're just spewing misinformation. I just want to strangle those people.
No, I don't think you guys ever spew misinformation. I think you guys are trying to, deal with the set of facts that you have and come to a conclusion. And sometimes A and B don't connect, because you don't have all the information. You're going from A to D, and you don't have B and C in there. So, but it's fun to watch from kind of the outside.
Well, I appreciate your viewership very much. Thank you. So this is a big day for the UFC. Did you ever think that you'd be in a setting like this, a sort of fashion show, if you will? Kind of unique, right?
It is unique, but we do things, when we do them, we want to do them big. We want to partner with, big companies that do things the right way. Obviously, Reebok has a history of being, a top brand in the sports apparel business. They've been innovative, things like the pump, other various things that they developed, and we felt like it was a good fit for us. Reebok historically hasn't been that company that's necessarily gone out and gotten into a bidding war for an individual athlete or for a soccer team in Europe or whatever. They've kind of carved their niche out in training, really with CrossFit, and they've done very well with that. It's been very successful for their company, and they have really a lot of history there, and we think that we fit in nicely there, because at the end of the day, while we are a league and we are a brand, mixed martial arts for the consumer is really all about training. And their focus and time and attention and development they put in for the athletes, and working with Ronda Rousey and a number of our other athletes to try to make sure that there is technical innovation within the product, was very important to us as well.
So as you know, with change comes a lot of uncertainty, and there have been some criticisms. How are you going to deal with that? Do you feel like now we're okay, everyone's on the same page, or do you still expect more to come?
Listen, you're never going to get everybody on the same page. It's just an impossibility, and we knew that going into this. When you have a history and a culture that has existed from the beginning of the sport, and all of a sudden you want to change something, it's going to be very disruptive. At the end of the day, we did a lot of research. We tried to really understand what the market was for these fighters and weigh that versus where we felt it was important to take the brand and what was the way to get the sport to the next level. Okay, so you weigh all those things. Spent a lot of time and energy looking at that. We're confident we're doing the right thing for the brand, which means it's ultimately the best thing for the athletes. We have had a number of the athletes be very positive. I think what has happened, though, is the media tends to only report on the negatives, because those are the headlines you can get, and you can get the clicks, and it's a more interesting story. But the fact of the matter is, when you really go out there and talk to a lot of our athletes, now that even the 20 athletes that were here today, as they were going through yesterday the rehearsal and the outfitting, like, this stuff's pretty cool. I like this. I like the way it looks. I like the way it fits. I like the way it feels. Look, I think we'll get out in whether it's 6 months or 6 years, at some point, people will look back on this and say, was the right decision? And it will, all the other stuff will be behind us. Certainly, managers got a little disrupted. I think that's where a lot of the squawking came from, but the fact of the matter is they have to figure out a different, businesses change, industries evolve. They have to evolve, right? It's now not just about going and slapping a logo on a pair of shorts that's on our broadcast. You have to go out and work for your money. You got to go out and get out there and talk to sponsors that really are interested in the individual IP of your athlete. Put them in advertisement, put them in magazines, put them in television commercials, put them on posters, use social media, do appearances. It's just a different environment. You can still go out there and make money, have all the sponsors you want, you just got to work a little different.
Well said. Obviously, I have to ask you about Conor and Jose. How confident are you right now on June 30th that we will actually see that fight?
I'm very confident, but obviously, we're trying to make sure that at the end of the day, we deliver a great event. So we had to go out, and we were able to talk to Chad Mendez, and he jumped right up to the plate and said, absolutely, I'll be stand in line. That if for whatever reason, even though we, all indications are that Jose is going to be fine, if something happens, then I'll step in and fight. So we had to make that, put that in place.
He almost fainted when he heard the news that Aldo had been injured. What was your reaction?
I was in the hall. Actually, had come out of the conference room when we actually were in a marketing meeting with about 14 or 15 people going through the detailed plans of where commercials were going to run, what our budget was. We produced the show Bad Blood, and we're saying, okay, this is what website is going to get linked to. These are the different air dates on Fox Sports 1 and so on. So it was a very intense meeting. And I came out to actually take a call from my brother, and in the hallway, Isabel and Dave Schaller were just kind of hovering, and they don't usually do that. So I was like, what do you want? Like, what's going on? They didn't say anything. They were just waiting for me to get done with my call. And they came up to me and broke the news. I opened the door to Dana in the conference room. I said, he walked out, and hey, it's something we have to deal with, unfortunately. We've been there before. You have to be able to react quickly and come up with a game plan. So after the initial shock, we sat down, started talking to the medical staff, started trying to contact Andre, really see what was going on, and then we got on the board and looked at all the different alternatives and tried to figure out what the best thing to do was.
Are you helping him get the best treatment in Brazil, and would you like him to come to Vegas sooner rather than later so that you can help him as much as possible? You have your resources there.
Yeah, we've been in contact with Andre and Jose, talking to them about what physical therapy he could do, what's appropriate, what's allowed, and certainly been talking with them along the way. Of course, we'd love to have him in Las Vegas, but I think the reality of just the logistics of where Brazil is and getting visas and timing didn't really work out, and we're hopeful that he'll be here next week preparing for the fight, and anything that we can do to assist, obviously, we'll be there.
Speaking of the Reebok deal, he's been rather outspoken and critical of it. Has he bothered you at all with any of his comments, and have you tried to clear the air with him? He's the only champion that's really been, I think, negative towards it.
Yeah, it's been a little bit surprising to me because obviously I've been in Jose's presence many times. I mean, talked to him a lot, never brought anything up, never complained, never really asked questions. At the end of the day, my understanding, I hope I don't have the facts wrong, but my understanding is that Reebok actually approached him to be one of their kind of premier athletes and made him a substantial offer. And as you know, he has historically been sponsored by Venom. And Venom said, nah, I don't think that's going to happen. They actually stepped up and paid him more and kept him on as a Venom athlete, which is fine because, as you know, you can still keep your sponsors outside of the UFC. Let's not get that wrong. And so I guess for him, it's kind of a net win. He gets the Reebok affiliation and money, and he keeps his Venom deal. So I don't know why he would be upset about it.
Last thing on 189, is it hard for you as someone who has been a part of this sport for so long? You've been doing this, you've been pounding the pavement. This is a historic day for you, but that was really a gigantic fight. I mean, the commercials, all the world tour, all that stuff. Is it hard to get excited about it? Is there a black cloud hanging over it right now? Like you don't want to get too excited because you don't want to get heartbroken again?
I don't think so. I mean, look, we have our head down. We're just operating the business, dealing with the facts that we have today. And the facts that we have today are that we're treating it, the fight is on. And all the marketing, everything's starting to roll out today. There's going to be a massive push, obviously, to the 11th. And look, at the end of the day, if Jose feels like he can't go, then that's fine. We got a backup plan, and listen, we'll turn things around and go in a different direction. But ultimately, no, I'm excited for the 11th. It's almost like a culmination of the year, even though it's happening mid-year from a calendar standpoint. This is kind of our week every year where as a brand and as a sport we get to kind of celebrate, right? Fans come in, there's a ton of things to do at the Fan Expo. It's kind of a cool thing to be associated with if you're part of it, and I'm really looking forward to that. And no matter what happens on July 11th, we're going to have 2 title fights. It's going to be electric. All the matchups on paper look amazing, even the undercard to the fight. So no, I just love walking into the arena the night of the fight. You feel that anticipation, you feel that energy. That's going to be there no matter what.
Final question I have to ask you about this. We're in New York. What great timing it would have been had they passed the bill last week and you'd be here, everyone would be here, you could celebrate Reebok and New York. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And I know you've been following this very closely. You were very disappointed. You put out a statement. Do you think it's, I mean, at this point, what was it a timing thing, or is there some bigger issue? We know the union issue, but what I mean, this seemed like all the stars were aligned, and it didn't happen. So how do you react to this?
You got to start to question yourself, will we ever really get a fair shake at the end of the day, right? Because like you said, everything is in place, and the leadership of the assembly basically said, look, we have to make sure that we have support in the Democratic caucus. You have to go out and get 74 members to say that they're going to support this thing. If you do that, then we'll bring it to the floor and let the democratic process play out. We're like, okay, at least, all right, now we know what we need to do. Whereas in the past, we just kind of got shut down at the beginning. So we went out, we were able to garner, in very short order, 74 members that were like, yes, I'm definitely a yes vote. And then it came back, as it was reported back to me, oh no, you need 76. Well, what? Goal line moved a little bit, right? So maybe they didn't think we were going to get there, and we got there, so oh, now you need 76. So we went out, worked really hard, talked to members. Clearly we have the support. There's really like 15 members that are like adamantly opposed to this thing for whatever reason, And we came back and said, okay, we got 78, a little bit of insurance there. And then as they were going, the week they were going to bring, I'd woke up and I called some of our people. I said, okay, where are we at? Today's the day. They're going to bring the vote to the floor. You guys knew about it. They said, well, you got 78, but all 78 have to be present. And we're like, come on, that's not a rule in the assembly. That's not something that you even said. I think one of the members, maybe they had to go to a funeral. It was actually the week after the session was supposed to have ended, so maybe some other people made family plans, who knows. So I think 74 of the 78 were present, right? We knew we had the votes. The thing wins by a landslide. And it was like, they played four corners and the shot clock ran out and they're like, oh, time's up, see ya.
And what do you do now?
We just do the same thing we've always done. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if there really was intent by the leadership to get a bill passed, then pass it in January when the session starts. Let's not wait to the end so we get timed out. We know we have the support. Let's pass it in January. It should be the first order of business, All
right, well, again, congratulations on this. I know it's very exciting times for the UFC, and good luck next week with whatever happens. A lot of fans excited. Hopefully we'll see the fight we're all waiting for.
Sounds good. See you there.